Ubisoft has had a few pretty big releases this fiscal year. We of course had The Division, Far Cry Primal, Rainbow Six Siege late last year. Plenty of big releases for Ubisoft, and now they have detailed just how well some of those games have done for them. And despite the mixed response to The Division, especially on PC due to the various bugs and of course glitches and the cheater problem, it seems that The Division was very successful for Ubisoft, as The Division had 9.5 million registered users. And the release of The Division as well as Far Cry Primal were the most successful new video game launches ever and the best performance ever for a game released in the month of February. Now that is according to CEO Yves Guillemot, who said that both of these games' performances, quote, exceeded expectations. As I said just a moment ago, The Division has currently 9.5 million registered users, and active players are playing the game an average of 3 hours per day, and the Season Pass has a 20% attach rate as well. And Guillemot went on to say, quote, "These successes resulted in our digital segment outperforming our targets for the fiscal year and positively impacted our profitability. We have considerably strengthened our portfolio of own brands. For example, we have tripled the audience of Far Cry, doubled it for Rainbow Six, and launched The Division and Watch Dogs, which were the first and third largest releases ever for a new video game brand." As for Rainbow Six Siege, they doubled their audience with daily active users at 60% of peak DAU 4 months after launch. Ubisoft said that the performance for the game compared with industry standards is a, quote, clear illustration of the exceptional retention power of the game's multiplayer mode. And they also said that the audience for Far Cry tripled with the release of Far Cry Primal in February. Now, of course, they have plenty of big games in store for us this year and, of course, next year. Ghost Recon Wildlands, new Watch Dogs, the new South Park game, For Honor, as well as a new AAA game we don't know what it is yet. Out of those, I'm most interested in For Honor, but there is plenty of good stuff to be had there. In terms of pure numbers, full-year sales for the fiscal year 2015 to 16 totaled 1.39 billion euros, which is actually down 4.8% year over year, but higher than the recently revised target of 1.36 billion euros. Sales for their fourth quarter came in at 624.9 million euros compared to 169.9 million year over year, which is a jump of 267.7%. Quite a high jump, I'm sure you'd agree. As for their digital segment, as Yves said, it did very well for Ubisoft. It amounted to 446.7 million euros, up 16.7%, and accounted for 32% of total sales compared to 26.1% last year. They also saw an uptick in back catalogue sales, a 45% uptick, and that was sales of 354.6 million euros, which led by sustained sales from franchises as well as digital revenues, and their back catalogue represented a rather tasty 25.4% of total sales in this fiscal year. So, despite the fact that the year was actually down a little bit, it was actually higher than their expectations, and overall they did pretty well for themselves, and all their games saw an increase in players in comparison to their previous iterations or the previous fiscal year. I'm quite surprised Far Cry Primal improved so much because, well, it didn't look all that different, apart obviously the setting and the melee combat, but it still was just Far Cry underneath all that. And I feel like the setting was a little bit wasted on that game. Not that it's a bad game, I just feel like it could have been so much more, and the fantastic Far Cry 4, which of course the last Far Cry we had, and I would just put Far Cry 4 above Primal for me, but obviously the numbers speak for themselves, and Far Cry Primal managed to do pretty damn well for itself. I'm glad Rainbow Six Siege did well. I've heard nothing but praise for that game. Some people were concerned because of course it is multiplayer only, and it is a little different to more traditional Rainbow Six games, but it seems the solid gameplay and the fun times that can be had in that game have spoken for themselves, and of course it has done very well for itself indeed. So it seems Ubisoft are on the up and up, and they've got some pretty nice games coming up in the next year or so. As I said, I'm looking toward For Honor myself. The South Park games, sure. Watch Dogs, I'll wait on that one because I got really hyped about the last one, and we all know how that one ended. Ghost Recon, not really my thing. But they've got some good games, and I'm interested to see what this new AAA IP actually is. And of course, no new Assassin's Creed this year, which is kind of nice in a way. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how well they do with all their new games coming out in the coming months and of course next year as well. So there you have it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.